Hi again. In the previous lecture we talked about strings, and in this lecture again we are going deeper into learning strings. Specifically we're going to look at indexing. Indexing is a very important concept, not only with strings but with other data types that we'll be looking at later, such as lists and tuples and dictionaries. So please follow this lecture. And yeah, let's talk about indexing. Let me open a Python interactive session. And let me create a string. Hi there, exclamation mark, and close quote. Now, when you create a string, every string that you create, Python under the hood, what it does is it assigns a number to each of the items of your string. And so it starts from 0, so age will be assigned an index of 0, and then a 1 for I, 2 for the white space, 3 for T, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the exclamation mark character will have an index of 8. So you would ask, why is this useful? Well, this allows you to extract certain parts from a string. And there is a certain notation to do that. You'd want to access the string, so in this case that's the variable C holding the string. And then you want to use square brackets. So an opening square bracket and then a closing square bracket. And inside those square brackets you pass the index of the item that you want to extract. Let's say I want the T character. So that would be 0, 1, 2, 3. I pass number 3 there as an index, and that will extract for me letter T, which is actually a string. So you can check the type of the output and you'll see that that's a string. So a string is made of strings, you can say so. If you wanted age, you'd pass 0, and if you wanted the last character, well, you might have to count, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, I'm including type there. Sorry about that. So C8 would give you the exclamation mark. But there's also another indexing system there that Python uses. So in this case we had to count from the beginning to the end of the string, but wouldn't it be useful if you had another system that lets you count from the end, so from right to left? Well, such a system exists and it starts from -1, so the exclamation mark would be -1. And yeah, that you can extract that with that. -2 would be E, R would be -3, and so on up to age. So you have two indexing systems there, which allow you to extract items depending on whether the items are in the beginning or near the end. Now, what if you want to extract more than one item from a string? Let's say you want to extract high. Well, there is a notation for that too. And so high is expanding from index 0 to index 1, so up to here. So let's try 0 to 1. That will not work very good, but let's see. So as I said, this will return only age, so it doesn't return item with index 1, and that's because splitting in Python, so we're splitting a string here. Splitting in Python is upper bound exclusive, which means that the upper bound of the split here is not included in the output. So if you want to include I, you'd want to pass the index after I, which is 2. So this is a string just for reference, and so we extracted item with index 0 and item with index 1, and then the split starts right there at index 2, so it doesn't include the space, just high. If you pass 3 there, that would include the white space as well. And similarly you can pass like 1, and that will include I and the space. there are also shortcuts. So if you pass 0 to, like nothing to 3, that is the same as doing 0 to 3. So it will include 0, 1 and 2. And similarly, if you want to extract there with the exclamation mark, well, what you'd want to do is t would have an index of 0, 1, 2, 3, so 3, and then you can just pass a colon there and execute it, and that will give you there with the exclamation mark. And let's now try to extract R and E using negative indexing. So something to know is that even though we are using negative indexing, which starts from right to left, the splitting will work from left to right, which means the first index you want to pass is that of the first item. So R, we pass -3 for R, because you know we have -1, -2 and -3. So -3 for R, and then we want E, which is -2, but since splitting is upper bound exclusive, we want to pass -1 there. So let's try that, -1, execute, and yeah, we get the correct output. That's the idea. If you didn't pass anything here, you'd get the exclamation mark as well. So it will take a while until you get used to this, but with some practice you'll be able to remember these notations. And yeah, that's what I wanted to cover in this lecture. So this was about string indexing and splitting. So you split using the index that Python uses on the background. And yeah, I hope you enjoy this, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks.